There's this persistent myth about Spain. I kind of call it the bullfighter and paella fallacy.
Right.
We tend to think of the country as this single sun-drenched block of land where everyone, naps at 2, dances flamenco, and eats rice on the beach.
It's the postcard version.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's wrong, exactly. Those things exist, but it is so incomplete.
Yeah.
It's a bit like judging the entire United States just by visiting, say, Las Vegas or Miami.
Right.
You're missing all the texture.
Exactly. And if you look at a map, really look at the history. Spain isn't one place. It's a collection of these distinct micro-worlds all stitched together. And the argument we're unpacking today is that if you try to see all that from a high-speed train or, a tour bus window, you're basically just watching a movie of Spain.
You're not actually in it.
Right.
That's the core idea. To get the true diversity of the place, you have to slow down.
And that brings us to our source material for today. We're doing a deep dive into a guide from the team at Cycling Rentals called Experience La Real España. And their whole premise is, I think, really compelling. They argue the bicycle is the perfect vehicle for this.
Okay.
It's fast enough that you're not stuck in one village for a week like you might be if you were walking.
Sure.
But it's slow enough that you can actually feel the transition from one region to the next. You see the architecture change, the vegetation shift.
And you can smell it. That's something you just completely miss in a car. You smell the pine, the ocean, the dust, the cooking. It's a full sensory immersion.
So here's the mission for this deep dive. We're not just going to list a bunch of bike routes. That would be boring.
Right.
We're looking at 5 specific self-guided tours that seem to map onto 5 completely different personalities. We've got routes for the spiritualist, the adrenaline junkie, the historian, the artist, and my personal favorite, the wine snob.
Let's be polite. We can call them the connoisseur.
Sure, connoisseur. But the question for you, listening right now, is which one of these people are you? Because the real España looks totally different depending on which set of handlebars you're holding.
It really does. And I think the best place to start is probably the most famous route of all. One that, arguably put long-distance travel across Spain on the global map.
The Pilgrim's Path. The Camino de Santiago.
Specifically the Camino Francis, or the French Way. The source highlights this one as a personal favorite, and for a very good reason. It's just steeped in centuries of tradition.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because usually when I hear Camino, I'm picturing people with walking sticks and these giant backpacks just trudging for a month.
Yeah, nursing blisters.
Exactly. But this is a bike tour. So does the source address whether biking the Camino is it cheating?
It doesn't use that word, no. But it does reframe the challenge. Walking, it takes a month, maybe more.
Right.
That's a huge life disruption that most people just can't afford. Biking, it takes about 2 weeks. But more importantly, the physical experience is different. When you walk, you are hyper-focused on your feet. When you ride, you're focused on the terrain, the flow of the landscape.
And the terrain here, it's a masterclass in Spanish geography. We're starting in León.
Which is key context. León isn't some sleepy little village. It's a powerhouse of Gothic architecture.
You start with this density of history, looking up at stained glass.
Wow.
But then you head west, and you hit the Meseta.
The high plains. I've heard this is the mental part of the journey.
It is. For walkers, the Meseta is often described as this grueling psychological challenge. It's flat, it's hot, dry, feels like it goes on forever.
But on a bike,
it becomes this meditative flow state. You can cover that ground rhythmically. The horizon is just wide open. It's less about suffering and more about, contemplation.
But then the whole script flips completely. You leave those dry plains and you push into the green rolling hills of Galicia.
The Osabrero climb. This is where the pilgrim aspect really kicks in physically. You're moving from the dry, golden world of Castilla y León into the wet, emerald green Celtic world of Galicia.
So the whole landscape changes. Everything changes. The architecture goes from brick and adobe to granite and slate.
Yeah.
The air smells different. It smells like rain and eucalyptus.
I love that detail. It really is a sensory shift. And the source talks about the ritual of it all. Even on a bike, you're still a pilgrim. You have the credential.
The pilgrim passport. This part's crucial. It's like the gamification of the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
You stop at churches, cafes, hostels, and you get these little ink stamps, the cellos. It's your proof. It's your physical record of the journey.
And when you finally roll into the Santiago de Compostela Cathedral, which is the emotional and physical finish line, that passport is a record of every single mile you put in.
The source describes that arrival as giving you an overwhelming sense of achievement, and I can imagine. You pull up to this massive Baroque facade, your legs are probably burning a bit, you've got this booklet full of stamps. That's heavy stuff.
So that's the spiritual seeker, the reflective traveler. It's for the person who wants their vacation to kind of change them on the inside. But what if I don't want to be in my own head? What if I just want to be terrified?
Then you have to leave the plains. You head north, way north, to the Picos de Europa.
The adrenaline spike. Just the name sounds jagged. Peaks of Europe.
And it is a massive pivot from the Camino. We're moving from rolling hills to these limestone spikes. This is Spain's first national park, and it is rugged.
The source calls it mountain majesty, which sounds pretty, but then they list things like deep gorges and towering limestone peaks. This is not a casual Sunday ride.
No, this is for the adventurous cyclist. You're navigating the Cantabrian Mountains. The real standout landmark here is the Garganta del Cares, the Cares Gorge.
The divine throat.
That's what they call it. It's just this massive cleft in the earth. And you're riding through this landscape looking up at the Naranjo de Bulnes, which is this iconic thumb-like limestone monolith that climbers are obsessed with.
So the scale is just humbling.
It's not the gentle rolling hills of Tuscany. This is vertical.
And you start in Cangasteones, which has that beautiful Roman bridge. So you get some history, but then you are immediately thrown into the wild. And the wildlife is different too.
Right, you're not just seeing sheep. The source mentioned chamois, which are these really agile goat antelopes, and griffon vultures.
Vultures. Just in case you needed a reminder that nature wins if you stop pedaling.
It adds to the atmosphere. But what's fascinating is the contrast. You have these thrilling descents, these brutal climbs where your heart is pounding. But then you roll into these quaint, quiet little mountain villages like Portons. It's a duality of extreme physical effort and, well, extreme pastoral peace.
And let's talk about the reward system, because if I'm biking up a limestone wall, I expect to be fed. And the source does not disappoint. It mentions foods that sound, well, heavy.
It's caloric density by necessity. The climate is cooler, it's wetter, so you have fabada asturiana.
That's the bean stew, right?
Yes. Huge white beans, chorizo morcilla, the blood sausage, and pork shoulder. It is rich, fatty, full of protein.
And then, of course, the cheese. Cabrales.
The pungent stuff. It's a blue cheese they age in limestone caves. It really captures the dampness and the earthiness of the mountains.
An acquired taste, maybe?
For some. But if you've just spent 6 hours burning calories in a gorge, it probably tastes like heaven.
So that's a Picos. High effort, high reward, big nature. But let's say I'm allergic to adrenaline. I want warmth. I want romance. I want rhythm.
You head south, way south, to Andalusia.
The Southern Serenade. Now, this feels like the Spain you see on the postcards.
It is, but it's also the most historically complex in terms of its layers. The source really emphasizes the Moorish influence here. You're starting in Seville with the Alcázar, and you're ending in Granada with the Alhambra Palace.
And the visual palette just changes completely here. We're done with the green, rainy north. Now it's olive groves and whitewashed villages.
Exactly. The Pueblos Blancos, the light is different down there. It's sharper. And culturally, it's so vibrant. The source specifically mentions the sound of this tour flamenco music just filling the air.
It's a total sensory overload. You've got the white buildings, the green olives, the sound of the guitar, and the food. This is the home of tapas culture.
But specifically, gazpacho and salmorejo.
Gazpacho is perfect for this climate. It's hot down there. A cold tomato soup after a ride through the olive groves. It's like liquid air conditioning.
It really is. And salmorejo is its thicker, creamier, lots of olive oil and bread blended in. It's interesting you mentioned the heat. This road is much more about cultural immersion.
Right.
The riding is, scenic olive groves are beautiful, but the main event is really the stops. You aren't just biking for the sake of biking.
You're stopping to look at Islamic architecture that's centuries old. You're stopping to watch a performance. It's a slower, richer rhythm.
So the Camino is for the soul, and Picos is for the body, and Andalusia is for the culturalist. Someone who wants to understand the human history of the place.
Got it. Okay, let's move to the fourth world. We're heading east to the Mediterranean.
Catalonia, the Mediterranean magic.
This one feels like the most eclectic mix. You've got beaches, you've got medieval towns, and then you've got surrealism.
It's a very distinct region. You start in Barcelona, which is just a powerhouse of art and architecture. Gaudi's Sagrada Familia gets a specific mention.
Yeah.
But then you ride out to the Costa Brava.
The wild coast. I always picture Hidden Cove and that crystal clear water.
That's exactly it. Pine trees growing right down to the water's edge. But then, just to keep you on your toes, the route takes you inland to the Dali Museum in Figueres.
Which is a trip in and of itself. Salvador Dali's work is so mind-bending, so you're cycling through these ancient medieval towns like Girona and Besalú, stone bridges, cobblestones.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're confronting melting clocks and surrealist sculptures.
It's a brilliant contrast.
Yeah.
You have the ancient grounded history and then the floating bizarre world of Dali. And the food here is described as innovative gastronomy.
Right. Catalonia prides itself on that mix of tradition and the avant-garde. The source mentions pa em tomate,
which is just bread with tomato.
It sounds so simple.
It sounds boring, but it is foundational. Rubbing garlic and ripe tomato on toasted crystal bread with great olive oil. It's the perfect cyclist fuel. Savory, carbs, fresh.
And crema catalana for dessert.
Of course.
So who is this route for?
I'd call this one the artistic hedonist. You get the beach, you get high culture with Gaudi and Dali, and you get some of the best food in the world. The terrain is mildly challenging, so it's accessible, but still diverse. You're not just looking at one type of scenery.
Okay, we've done spiritual, adventurous, cultural, and artistic. There's one major category left, and frankly, it's the one a lot of people go to Spain for.
The vine.
La Rioja, the vineyard voyage.
This is a completely different vibe. It's leisurely, it's indulgent. The geography here is these rolling vineyards with the Sierra de Cantabria Mountains as a backdrop. It's visually stunning, but in a very manicured agricultural way.
And the stops are very specific. You start in Logroño, but the real hub is Haro.
The wine capital. Haro is just packed with bodegas, or wineries. The source makes it clear you're not just drinking, you're visiting ancient cellars, learning the process.
Which you are drinking.
You are sampling. Full-bodied Tempranillo.
And eating. The source mentions patata a la riojana and bacalao a la riojana.
Potatoes and cod, both done in the local style, usually with chorizo and peppers. It's rustic, flavorful food that pairs perfectly with those oaky red wines.
What I like here is that the expert part of my brain, well, you're the expert, but my brain noticed it also mentions the monasteries of Suso and Yuso.
Yes, in San Millán de la Cogolla. These are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And this is important because it grounds the tour. It's not just a pub crawl on bikes.
Right.
These monasteries are incredibly significant. They're widely considered to be the birthplace of the written Spanish language.
No way.
Yeah, the first known words of Castilian Spanish were written in the margins of a text right there.
So you can tell yourself you're there for the philology and history.
Exactly.
While you order another glass of Tempranillo.
Precisely. It gives you a high-minded excuse for your indulgence. And an interesting connection the source makes is that the Camino Francis, that first route we discussed,
Right.
It actually passes through here. But the vineyard voyage lets you linger. On the Camino, you're always pushing forward. On the Rioja tour, the goal is to stop, taste, and enjoy.
That's a key distinction. The Camino is a line. Rioja is more like a cluster.
Now, we've covered these 5 worlds, but there is a logistical game changer in the source that applies to all of them. And it sort of bridges the gap between these personalities.
The e-bike.
Exactly. The source lists electric-assisted e-bikes as a rental option. And they even have an e-bike range calculator.
This is huge because remember when we were talking about the Picos de Europa, those jagged limestone peaks?
True.
Without an e-bike, that is a serious athletic endeavor. That is for the adventurous cyclist with huge quads, but with an e-bike. Suddenly, the culturalist or the wine lover can handle those climbs.
It democratizes the geography. It opens up the real España to people who might be intimidated by the topography. You can focus on the view, not your heart rate.
Yeah.
It creates a no-drop dynamic where people of different fitness levels can actually travel together.
And it mentions they have gravel bikes and touring bikes too, so if you're a purist, you're covered. But I love that the technology removes that barrier to entry.
And since these are self-guided tours, that flexibility is absolutely crucial.
Explain self-guided for a second, because to some, that sounds like you're on your own, good luck.
Not quite. It means the logistics are handled, the route is planned, your hotels are probably booked, you have support, but you set the daily pace. There's no guide yelling at you to keep up.
Okay.
If you want to spend 3 hours at the Dali Museum, you do it. If you want to wake up late in Rioja, you do it. It's freedom with a safety net.
Which is the best kind of travel.
I agree.
So let's bring this all back together. We've decoded 5 worlds.
Oh, yeah.
We have the pilgrim on the Camino seeking connection and that earned arrival.
We have The adventurer in the Picos seeking grit and the silence of the peaks.
The culturalist in Andalusia seeking rhythm, roots, and the warmth of the South.
The artist in Catalonia seeking beauty, the avant-garde, and the sea.
And the connoisseur in La Rioja seeking flavor and leisure.
And the common thread through all of it is the bicycle. It's the vehicle that lets you be part of the landscape, not just a spectator watching it fly by.
It's funny, looking at this list, I feel like I'm a different one of these people on different days of the week.
That's the beauty of it. You don't have to be just one, but you do have to pick a route.
So here is our question to you, listening right now. Strip away your job title, your daily commute, all your responsibilities at home. If you were standing at that rental shop right now and you could pick one of these maps, who are you?
Are you looking for a mountain to conquer? Or a glass of wine to savor?
Or maybe, with an e-bike, you can do both. That's the real España. Go find yours. Thanks for diving in with us.
Safe travels.